The Kraken. Sailors in the North Atlantic feared the ocean for more than storms. They feared something beneath the waves. For centuries, fishermen told stories of a creature so big it could pull entire ships under. They called it the Kraken. Early accounts from Norway and Greenland described a beast larger than any whale, with arms stretching like twisted trees. Its eyes were said to glow in the dark waters, watching from below. When ships disappeared without a trace, the Kraken was blamed. Survivors swore they saw giant tentacles wrapping around the hull before everything vanished into the sea. The most terrifying part wasn't just the monster, it was the silence. Fishermen said the ocean would go still right before the Kraken rose up. Nets would come up empty, birds would vanish, and then the water would boil with movement. By the 18th century, naturalists like Carl Linnaeus listed the Kraken as a real species in scientific texts. Later, it was believed the stories came from sightings of colossal squids, whose tentacles can reach over 30 feet. But the sailors of the Old World, it wasn't legend. The Kraken was the ocean itself, alive and waiting. The Ermengunder. In Norse legend, there was a serpent so vast it encircled the entire world. They called it the Midgard serpent. Born of the trickster god Loki, Ermengunder was said to dwell in the deepest oceans, coiled around the earth like a living chain. To the Vikings, this wasn't just myth, it was prophecy. They believed that when the serpent finally let go of its own tail, the end of the world would begin. Waves would rise, storms would tear the sky apart, and Ermengunder would come crashing onto land, spewing venom that poisoned everything it touched. Sailors claimed to see glimpses of it, an impossible shadow beneath the water, or scales glistening just under the surface. Sometimes they swore entire ships were lifted by waves that seemed to move with purpose, as if some colossal body had stirred beneath them. In the Great Battle of Ragnarok, legend says Ermengunder rises from the sea to fight Thor himself. The serpent poisons the sky, Thor kills it, and then takes 9 steps before falling dead from its venom. For the Old Norse, the sea wasn't just dangerous. It held a monster fated to end the world. The Megalodon. Long before stories of sea monsters, there was one that actually lived. 60 feet long, with teeth the size of a human hand, Megalodon was the ultimate predator of the ocean. For 20 million years, it ruled the seas. Imagine a shark bigger than a school bus, jaws wide enough to swallow a person whole. Scientists believe Megalodon hunted whales, crushing their bones with a single bite. Fossilized teeth have been found on every continent, proof that no ocean was safe from it. But what terrified people most wasn't just its size. It was the idea it might still be alive. For decades, rumors spread of giant shadows following ships, or massive teeth washing upon beaches. In 1918, Australian fishermen swore an enormous shark bigger than their boats destroyed their catch. No one ever proved it, but the legend stuck. Modern science says Megalodon vanished about 3.6 million years ago. Climate change, shifting seas, and competition from smaller, faster sharks wiped it out. Still, the ocean is vast, with depths unexplored. Some wonder if the monster shark really disappeared, or if it's still out there, lurking where no light reaches.
The Umibozu. In Japanese folklore, sailors whispered about a ghostly figure that appeared from calm seas. They called it Umibozu, the sea monk. The creature was described as a massive, shadowy head rising silently from the waves, shaped like a monk with a shaved skull. Its eyes glowed like lanterns, and its body stretched taller than the mast of any ship. Those unlucky enough to see it believed they were marked for death. Stories tell of Umibozu cursing ships, demanding barrels from sailors. If given an empty one, it would fill it with seawater, flooding the deck until the vessel sank. Survivors swore the ocean would suddenly calm before its arrival, an omen the terror struck just before the storm. Some believed umibozu were restless spirits of drowned priests returning to punish those who disrespected the sea. Others thought it was the embodiment of the ocean's rage itself. In the old records, no ship ever defeated umibozu. Once it appeared, the ending was always the same. Screams swallowed by waves and the ocean closing back over its secret. The Sea Eater. In the Pacific Northwest, the Haida people told of a monster that lived deep beneath the waves. They called it Sissihalt, or the Sea Eater, a creature so huge that when it rose, it could swallow canoes whole. Descriptions varied, but most said it was serpent-like, armored and scales harder than stone, with 3 heads, one at each end and one in the middle. Its eyes were said to turn men to stone. For the Haida, this wasn't just a sea monster, it was a spiritual force. Warriors sought its protection, painting its image on shields and canoes, believing its terrifying strength could pass into them. Legends say entire villages vanish after its visit to the coastlines. Some storytellers claim that guarded the boundary between the living and the dead. One misstep, and the Sea Eater dragged you across that line forever. In myth, it was undefeatable. The only defense was respect, and distance from the waters it called home. The Ogobobo, Canada's very own lake monster, said to dwell in the dark depths of Okanogan Lake. The local Sioux people called it Nyatika, the spirit of the lake, demanding offerings from those who cross its territory. Travelers tossed tobacco, even animals into the water, hoping the beast will let them pass unharmed. Sightings painted as a massive serpent, sometimes 40 to 50 feet long, slithering just beneath the surface. Some witnesses say it looked like a giant snake. Others swear it's closer to a prehistoric reptile, something that slipped through time and survived. But what makes Ogopoku so unnerving isn't just the size, it's the persistence of the encounters. Fishermen and entire groups of tourists, photographs and shaky videos fuel the legend. Those skeptics call it waves, logs, or illusions. Still, the myth has never gone away. In fact, it's grown into a cultural icon. But behind the tourist posters and playful songs about Ogogogo lies a darker truth. The legend that began as a warning, not entertainment.
The bloop. In 1997, deep in the Pacific Ocean, hydrophones picked up a sound unlike anything ever recorded. It was low, powerful, and carried across thousands of miles. Scientists nicknamed it the bloop. At first, they thought it had to be biological, an animal so massive its calls dwarfed even the blue whale. That idea alone was terrifying, because if it was alive, then somewhere in the uncharted darkness of the deep ocean lurked a creature beyond our comprehension, something large enough to shake the ocean itself. The theories exploded. Some linked it to myths of Leviathan or Cthulhu, imagining a sleeping beast stirring from the low. Others tied it to ancient seafaring legends, claiming sailors had heard similar sounds centuries earlier, but never lived long enough to describe what followed. Years later, NOAA scientists suggested the bloop was just the sound of shifting iceberg. Logical, maybe, but it never killed the mystery. Because the bloop wasn't a single sound. It repeated more than once in a way that didn't line up with simple ice cracks. To this day, the ocean keeps its secret. Was it ice or the echo of something alive, too big to be believed? The Loch Ness Monster. Nessie, as the world calls her, is the shadow that haunts Scotland's most mysterious lake. For nearly a century, photographs and eyewitness accounts have claimed to capture its long neck rising from the misty waters of Loch Ness. But the truth is, the legend runs much deeper. As far back as the 6th century, stories tell of a water beast in the River Ness, dragging men to their deaths. Locals whispered of something ancient lurking beneath, a creature that never aged, never surfaced for long, and never left. Modern fame came in 1934, when a photo of a serpentine neck breaking the surface went worldwide. Skeptics dismissed it as a hoax. Believers said it was proof, a relic from the age of dinosaurs, a plesiosaur that somehow survived extinction. What keeps Nessie terrifying isn't just the sightings, it's the setting.
Loch Ness is enormous, over 20 miles long, nearly 800 feet deep, and almost black inside. Anything can hide there. Whole species could exist unseen. And that's the real horror. Maybe Nessie isn't one monster after all, but a population silently thriving in the place no one has fully explored. The mermaid. Half woman, half fish. The mermaid has lived in the imaginations of sailors for thousands of years. But unlike many myths, mermaids aren't just fantasy. Ancient sailors spoke of them as omens. Some said mermaids sang songs so haunting they could lure a ship off course. Others claimed they were protectors, guiding crews to safety. But almost all agreed, mermaids were dangerous. Encounters often ended in disaster, sailors disappearing without a trace. Reports go back to Aristotle and Pliny the Elder. In the 1500s, explorers like Columbus wrote about spotting mermaids in Caribbean waters. Scientists later suggest that these sightings might have been manatees or dugongs mistaken for humanoid figures. Some modern researchers believe mermaids could be an unknown species, intelligent beings adapted to life in deep water. Others think they're echoes of humanity's oldest fears of the sea, a siren of myth, or a living secret.
The Titanoboa. Over 60 million years ago, in the swamps of what is now Colombia, a serpent ruled the world. Titanoboa. At over 40 feet long and weighing more than a ton, it was the largest snake to ever slither across the earth. Its body was wide enough to crush a crocodile in a single squeeze. Its jaws could swallow a human whole. Fossils suggest Titanoboa lived in warm, murky waters, hunting giant fish, turtles, and crocodiles. Every movement was slow but unstoppable, like a living river of muscle. When scientists first uncovered its remains in 2009, they called it a wonder. But the discovery raised an unsettling question. Could something like Titanoboa exist today? Oceans cover much of the earth, and deep beneath them sunlight never reaches. Vast trenches remain unexplored. Could a creature like Titanoboa still be hidden in those depths? Some warn that Titanoboa wasn't the only giant lurking in ancient waters. The ocean might still harbor predators we cannot even imagine. For Titanoboa, extinction might not be its end. The El Gran Maja. Off the coast of Mexico, fishermen tell a story that has haunted generations. A serpent-like base longer than a fishing trawler that patrols the waters of the Yucatan Peninsula. They call it El Gran Maja, the great serpent of the sea. Descriptions vary, but witnesses insist on the same terrifying details. Dark, glossy scales, a head the size of a car, and a body that vanishes into the depths. Some say it moves with unnatural speed, surfacing only to swallow prey whole before disappearing again. Others claim it emits a low hum, like a chant just before an attack. The earliest reports come from Mayan fishermen centuries ago, long before modern recording. They believed El Gran Maja was a guardian of the underworld, a creature that punished those who took too much from the sea. Over time, sightings have been sporadic, but persistent. Strange underwater currents keep the legend alive. To skeptics, El Gran Maja is just another sea monster myth, but for those who've seen it, the creature is proof that the ocean still holds secrets. The Ningen. In the icy waters of Antarctica, fishermen and researchers speak of a being so bizarre, it sounds like science fiction. They call it Ningen, meaning human in Japanese. The creature is described as enormous, with pale, smooth skin and a humanoid shape. Eyewitnesses claim it has a face, arms, and even hands, but no signs of being human. Some say it measures over 20 meters long. Others insist it moves like a slow swimmer, drifting just below the surface before vanishing without a trace. The story first appeared in Japanese forums in the early 2000s after mysterious sonar readings and blurry photographs surfaced online. Researchers debated, was it a misidentified whale, an unknown species, or something more unnatural?
Some think the ningen is a deep-sea mammal. It blows through cold waters. Others whisper darker possibilities, that it's a creature from another world, glimpsed only rarely and fleetingly. What makes ningen terrifying is not just its size or shape, it's the isolation of its home. Antarctica is one of Earth's least explored places. If ningen exists, we may never understand it. The ocean keeps its secrets wild, and this might be the strangest of all.